Joining us now is James O'Keefe, who I have an unbelievable amount of respect for. He has courage and he loves his country. I love Project Veritas. They're very special. James, welcome back to the program.
Hey, Charlie. Great to be with you.
So, James, tell us about your latest story. Traffickers exploit illegal child labor with Social Security fraud. Minor forced to leave school and work 10-hour shifts, paying back cartel debt. So, James, take your time. This is a very confusing story if we go through it too quickly, in my opinion. So the floor is yours. Walk us through it.
Well, thank you. And you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, James.
Okay, good. Sorry, because I'm always on the go. This is a U.S. Department of Health and Human Services whistleblower, a current federal employee who came to us. Tara is her name. Tara Rodas. She works for something called the Council on Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency. And she brought us documents, Charlie, from Texas. These are addresses of a sponsorship program. This is a program where the federal government gets sponsors to take unaccompanied children from Mexico, Guatemala, and put them in addresses. And she says that the government knew these children were being trafficked. And she brought it to the attention of one of her colleagues there at Health and Human Services in the federal government. And she was told by this government official that we don't get sued by the cartels, so there's nothing that we can do about this. So this whistleblower came to Project Veritas, very brave woman, blew the whistle on the whole program, children being trafficked. Our undercover journalists went to these addresses in Texas, interviewed the people at the addresses, and these young girls admitted to us they're being pimped out by their sponsors. So children are being trafficked, exploited, raped, and the government knows about it. And this brave woman, Tara Rodas, came out. She was brave. She came to Project Veritas and told us the whole story.
So James, when you say pimped out, I think of Acorn. Do you mean that these children are being used as sex slave prostitutes, or do you mean they're being pimped out for manual labor?
They're being pimped out for sex in this case. Some of these children are being given labor, and some of these children are being pimped out for actual sex. In this case, one of her sponsors was pimping her out, and she says the words on tape. We blurred these children's faces. We spoke to hundreds of children. Our undercover journalists who speak Spanish were knocking on the doors of these addresses that the federal employee gave us. And we went to their doors, and you could see their faces. You could see their lips moving. These young children were admitted to being sold off for sex when they got to the United States, and they lived with these sponsors who are supposed to be housing them. But some of these children were living in little studio and one-bedroom apartments with multiple older men.
And these individuals are underage. They're let's say younger than 18.
Yes, this girl in particular was 15. And the sponsors are typically not actual American citizens. They're not permanent residents. Tara told us they don't have a legal presence. And there's multiple older men living in the same room as underage children. The government, Tara showed us her government laptop, showed us stuff on the laptop, showed us addresses, and we went down there. And we're in touch with the authorities right now. There are multiple state and federal crimes with this. I wonder where our FBI is. We know that they've been raiding Project Veritas and school mothers and priests and so forth. I don't know what they're doing. Why aren't they looking into this sort of situation? But we think the authorities will act on this, Charlie, because we have now caught the young children on tape admitting to being trafficked and exploited. What's most shocking about the expose, I think, is this woman, Catherine Bond is her name. She was a lawyer with HHS who worked with Tara. And she told Tara that, listen, we don't get sued by traffickers. So they didn't take any action. This is an example of just a program so filled with abuse. And HHS, Charlie, Health and Human Services, is $1 trillion government agency. So this is just how broken the sponsorship program is.
So it's fair to say then this is government-sponsored child sex prostitution. This goes back to Biden. This goes back to Mayorkas. This goes back to HHS ex-secretary. I think it's Javier Becerra. I think that's his name, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Who's in charge of HHS. And so this is extraordinary. I mean, this is on the same level, if not even more troubling, James, than your original expose, as I mentioned previously, Acorn. I mean, this is taxpayer-funded pimping out young girls who are 15 and 16 to our country to be prostitutes for men, and the media won't be bothered, and law enforcement is too busy trying to indict Donald Trump and or raid your apartment?
Yeah, Rodas. Here's how Rodas said. This is the whistleblower, and she's very brave. She currently works for this council. She's a current federal employee. It's not like she's a former federal employee. She's speaking out, which is very, very rare. She has skin in the game, Charlie. She could get fired for this. Although I spoke with Catherine Bond at HHS, and she actually spoke to me for 30 minutes on the phone yesterday. But here's what Rodas said. She said, the sponsor can hold up an order of deportation, the sponsor of these children. They can hold that order of deportation up to a migrant child and say, this is your order of deportation. If you do not do what I say, when I say, I'm going to call ICE on you myself. So Tara said that we, the taxpayers, are paying to put children in the hands of criminals. And the government knows it. They have the addresses of these people. They know who are doing the trafficking, and nothing is happening. And that's why Tara came forward to blow the whistle, because they know the names and numbers of these people. She showed me their faces, but nobody's being prosecuted. In fact, the HHS lawyer said, well, we don't get sued by these traffickers, so we don't really have anything to worry about. It's just an example of how broken it is. And the only way this is going to change if we expose it, which now the video has millions of views on Twitter. Thanks, Elon Musk, for getting Project Veritas back on Twitter so we can publish this actual journalism. For very few people are doing actual journalism and telling these stories and getting the exposure. I think at least, Charlie, the state authorities, the Texas Attorney General, and now the Florida Attorney General, those are the two states this is happening in, will do something about it.
I sure hope so. So walk us through part 2, which involves Social Security fraud.
Yeah, in this part 2 of this video we released yesterday, you actually see a guy admitting to the Social Security fraud. He says he gets a fake Social Security card, and this is again in Florida. She gave us addresses for both Florida and Texas. This is where this was happening. This is an underage guy. We redacted his last name. We don't want to put full names of these underage children. But he said he started working to pay and cancel his debt. He said he can't work here legally. He holds up the small piece of paper that you get to be able to apply for a job, the Social Security card. He says you just call the person. He comes to your home and brings it. A young man named Frander says he was forced to pay $150 to obtain a fake Social Security card. When he got to the United States under the sponsorship program, he began studying and working. He went to school for 6 months. He would go to work at 4 p.m. and get out at 2 a.m. So it's an example of the sort of child labor exploitation. They make you work wherever they take you. This is not just sexploitation. It's manual labor exploitation. Most people, this sponsorship program was intended, people originally thought, to bring these children in with families and reuniting children with their families. In fact, that's not the case, the whistleblower tells us. And it's a terrible thing. You look at these children, you can see it in the video there. They're teenagers, 12, 13, 14 years old. They've never been to school. They can't read. Some of the children don't even speak Spanish. They speak a native dialect of Guatemalan. So we're really, Project Veritas is taking you really in to see how broken the system is. It's drifted away from its original intent. And you compare and contrast that with what the White House press secretary says or what our elected officials say about how secure the border is. It's mind-boggling.
Well, you've done wonderful work at Project Veritas exposing this, James. It's just this should make you fuming with anger what our government is doing, and they don't care. They are sex trafficking children that then become teenage prostitutes to go pay off cartel debts.
That's right. That's
James,
exactly right.
Great work. Check out Project Veritas. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead really quick. 20 seconds.
And I look forward to seeing you at the Turning Point next month. And I hope everyone will consider donating to Project Veritas, because this journalism is expensive and necessary.
Very good. Check out Project Veritas. Terrific. Thank you, James. I appreciate it.
Thank you.